I just want to welcome everyone and give a friendly welcome to all of those who are joining us. So thank you. And over the next hour, we just want to let you know that this is an open forum for you to ask your questions, express your concerns about diabetes and COVID-19, because that's why we're all here. This is, again, a friendly space for you to hear about the experiences from our mentors and T1D buddies. And tonight's conversation is all peer-to-peer. So it's just you talking to another friend. Since we're all trying to make the best of this crazy time in this situation, we're all experiencing the same journey and we're all here to help each other. So just remember, this is not school, and our goal is to have a fun conversation with you, our T1D buddies, and just all of us together. So just having diabetes can really be a stress all on its own. And tonight, our conversations are for all ages and for all of us to connect. So ask your questions, express your concerns, share your experiences with us, because we all want to hear from you.
All of us here, we either have diabetes or we are really closely connected with someone who does. So this is this environment, we're really, I think, in this together, and we have a lot to share with each other and learn from each other. So I think it's special that we can all connect in this way during this time.
We have all of our T1D buddies joining us, as well as Anna and I from all across the province, I guess. And my name is Alex, and I am the program director with Diabetes Hope Foundation. So essentially what I do is I take care of all of our programming, including our peer support program, which is part of our T1D buddies. So those panelists that you see here are all part of the program. And if you want to talk to them through our mentorship program, through the peer support program, I'll post the link below in the comments for you to join and speak with one of our wonderful mentors here. I also take care of the Hope Connects on campus and the Hope Connects mentorship program. So we really focus on all different ages of transition. So the transition from your pediatric to adult care, your high school to post-secondary, and post-secondary to the workforce. So we cover all different stages. I also want to just really mention that all of our mentors are not medical healthcare professionals, but the advice given from them today is just based on their personal experiences. So they're really wanting to share their conversations with you, and hopefully you can learn from what they're doing. Anna and I will be your moderators and your hosts for this evening. Anna is going to be addressing the speakers, and I, Alex, will be addressing you, the attendees, in the comments. So share your questions, share your comments, and you'll be able to hear them through the webinar tonight.
Thanks, Alex. So my name is Anna. I have been involved with Diabetes Hope Foundation for what feels like a very long time. I received my scholarship in 2009 and have been very involved with the peer mentor program and various other initiatives that Diabetes Hope is a part of for the last 10 or so years. In my own professional life, my background's in teaching, but I'm currently working in university guidance and recruitment. So I'm really, really thrilled to be here tonight. This is our third week doing this, and it's been amazing to connect with so many people across the country. It's actually been, again, a huge, almost a surprise for us to see how many people are wanting to connect and that are really, looking to chat and get a sense of what other people are doing through this very crazy time. So ultimately for tonight, that's our purpose here, is to connect with each other, whether or not it's, again, our peers, it's parents, kids, really anyone is welcome, like we mentioned, and we want to learn from each other and also have some fun and just have a nice chat about some of the things that we are anxious about our diabetes care. All of us here are diabetics, and this is something top of our mind, and then some other life events that we're going through as people and as diabetics. So transitions with online learning and school and work, and again, anxiety and stress, access to diabetes supplies. These are some of the things that we are going to chat through tonight. Let's kind of get the rest of the team here introduced. So Rav, can you start us off and let us know who you are and what you're all doing?
Of course. So hi everyone, my name is Rav. I received my DHF scholarship in 2013. I'm from Burlington, and right now I'm completing my last semester in the Occupational Health and Safety Co-op program at Ryerson University. I am incredibly excited to be almost done, even during all of this craziness. And I just want to say thank you so much for attending the webinar, and I'm looking forward to your guys' questions and comments.
Thanks, Rav. If anyone else is a student right now out there, let us know. We actually have a few people who are still studying, so there's a point of connection. Luke.
All right, yeah, thanks Anna, and thanks Alex, and thank you Rav. So hi everyone, my name's Luke, and it's really a pleasure for me being able to be here for DHF. I'd like to thank everybody that works and donates their time with them. It's a big pleasure for me to be able to speak with all of you and answer any questions. As previously mentioned, my name's Luke. I'm currently a second-year med student, and I got my Diabetes Hope Foundation scholarship in 2014. I did my undergrad degree in Sudbury, Laurentian, if anyone was up there. I'm also from a small town, Bowmanville, about 75 kilometers east of Toronto, about an hour drive on the 401 if there's no traffic. And again, just before I go, I'd like to thank everyone who's joining and also look forward to answering some of your guys' questions. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Luke. Heather?
Hi, so I'm Heather. I'm currently in Toronto, right in the heart of. I work at Statistics Canada, but currently all my work is done from home for time to be decided, forevermore it sounds like. And I'm just so stoked to be here to kind of share and connect with other people who are, I guess, in this with us. So yeah, thanks for joining, everyone.
And last but not least, Elena.
Hi, I'm Elena. I'm a registered nurse. I got my Diabetes Hope Foundation scholarship in 2013, so I graduated from UOIT in 2017 and have been practicing ever since. I'm from Oshawa, Ontario, so not too far from Luke, actually. And I'm really looking forward to tonight and getting to talk with everyone.
Amazing. Thanks, Elena. So we have an interesting group here. Everyone kind of a little bit different in terms of background and where we're at now, but definitely I think a lot of similarities as well. So to get right into it, we want to start by just chatting about, again, the thing that is bringing us all here together tonight, or one of the things, and is diabetes and our diabetes care during a time that is very tumultuous and uncertain, I think, in many, many different ways. We're all navigating through this. And as people and as diabetics, and we're not quite sure what's going to come next, and we're really just taking this day by day. But I want to ask the mentors here, what have been your biggest concerns or anxieties related to your diabetes management during this time? An example, a few comments we've had is access to diabetes supplies, just general daily management, blood sugar control, that type of thing. What are your thoughts on that, and how are you managing those concerns and anxieties? Elena, do you want to get us started with that?
I guess in the beginning I was a little bit concerned about getting access to supplies because I had tried to get them from my pharmacy and they were actually out. But it was just a coincidence. It wasn't anything to do with anything that was going on. So it's been good now. My pharmacy knows me by name. They know my voice over the phone. So they've been great, and we've been getting my supplies and that kind of thing.
Good. That's good to hear. That's what we want to hear for sure.
Yeah.
Heather, what about you?
My biggest concern actually came about from the diabetes community, because a lot of people were mentioning, as Elena had mentioned, that their supplies were either not in stock or people essentially I guess started toilet papering all of the diabetes supplies, so ordering just way more than they would need. And so I did start calling pharmacies in Toronto, and it looks like the main insulin I use is back ordered. And so I've reached out to my healthcare team to see if there are other alternatives, and they said they can help with transitioning to a different insulin if needs be, or hopefully that the supply channels will reopen to supply the orders that people have currently standing. And so I do have a plan in place if everything doesn't go according to plan, but I'm hoping that everything just kind of settles after the storm and the craziness that happened right at the beginning.
Yeah. And Heather, you just mentioned you've been in communication with your healthcare team. Has that been mostly taking place via email, or have you been calling them?
My healthcare team actually has they have a health portal. So I have all of my doctor, my diabetes educator, the nurse, the counselor, everybody who is part of my healthcare team. I can message them directly through the portal, and then they can send me information. Usually, because it is a secured portal, no forms or anything can go in or out. So if I ever need anything like that, it has to come through a different medium. But if I just have quick questions hey, I'm thinking of switching something, or my blood sugars have been consistently all over the place, what should I be looking for? They have great advice and tips.
Oh, that's great. That's really nice to hear. Actually, I'm not familiar with that platform. Interesting. Luke, what about you?
Yeah, so I was actually in school abroad, so I already had a pre-filled prescription for a year, so I still got a ton of insulin. But I'd say for me, the biggest kind of anxiety or stress that's causing relating to the diabetes be just, I guess, not being as mobile all the time, kind of being a bit more sedentary. And I feel like my carb ratios have been kind of all over the place with meals. And so I try and get outside a little bit, go for a small walk around. But it's been a little bit stressful because I just finished 2.5 weeks of kind of self-isolation just because I came from abroad. And that's been kind of a big player for me as well. So kind of managing not being as active with after the meals, my blood sugar's, going a bit high. And then also kind of living in isolation.
And Luke, just to touch on that, so is there anything in particular that you found helpful in working with those blood sugars, for example, that are spiking after meals and you're not able to get outside like you normally can?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have a pull-up bar, so I'll try and at least do that if I'm a bit bored. I'm just studying all day, essentially. So between doing a bit of push-ups, a bit of pull-ups, in between when I'm eating or not. But yeah, I find that works. I also try and keep myself a little bit busy. We have like a small wood shop, so I just kind of spend my time. If I have a couple hours, I'll go up there, and I'm kind of trying to make a guitar, so that's pretty fun.
Very cool. Amazing. Rav, what about you?
So kind of similar to Luke, like I'm really not physically active right now. My neighborhood has a lot of families, a lot of parks. And so anytime I like step outside the door, there's, a few too many people for, my liking to go outside for a walk. So, after dinner, before bedtime, my blood sugar does tend to run up a little high. So I've been trying to keyword is trying to take advantage of the treadmill I have in my basement. It was housing, a lot of boxes. So again, that was great physical activity to just get those out of the way and take advantage of that bad boy.
Yeah, and so it seems like, again, all of you, there's some similarities here. So I think a big theme that I'm noticing in your answers is really a change in routine and, an inability to follow through with the routines that we're used to when we are very flexible and open with where we can go and what we can do. And so a few of you, Rav and Luke, again, touched on what some of the things you've been doing. Is there anything else that you, again, our mentors here, that you're doing to help with that change in your day-to-day routine? Or is there anything, again, in terms of a change in when you're taking insulin or how many times you're testing your blood sugar or that type of thing? Heather, is there any changes like that you've been noticing?
I was actually just going to mention that when Luke was mentioning his newfound trickiness with carb ratios and stuff, because I have so much time now to essentially watch it. You can play a fun game where you see exactly where your insulin peaks. And I say fun game because obviously you don't want to go too far and just constantly make yourself low, but you can see exactly when your body starts to respond to your specific insulin to see essentially how you should be timing your insulin to food. So I feel like it helps me sometimes, and it's I don't know, it's just been a definitely growth period. I realized a bunch of my basals were wrong and my carb ratios were compensating in some periods of the day and vice versa. It turns out my body really hates insulin in the morning, and I just did not realize how much it did. So it's just now feels like a time to learn and adjust. I guess also just to keep active because I do live in a small condo in downtown Toronto, and Toronto is extra crazy with people outside. I've been finding a lot of resistance type exercises to do that essentially just encompass the weight of your own body and your ability to move and stretch, which have been really great.
It sounds like there's a silver lining here in our isolation is really focusing on that self-awareness, which is good. It's kind of a bit of a time to reset perhaps and take a step back and look at things. Yeah, Elena, what about you?
I guess it's a little bit different for me because I'm still working. So my work routine obviously has changed quite significantly working in the hospital. So just doing that kind of thing, but making sure on my days off, I am more sedentary as well, but I adopted 2 dogs in January. So we've been making sure that we've been walking them and stuff a lot. I just picked times of the day, like this morning when I got home from my night shift, I walked them as soon as I got home. So there's not really many people out. So it's been good. My neighborhood's really quiet, which is nice. So that's helped. And I've been working night shifts, so my sugars have been off anyways. So I've just been looking at them lots. And then when I'm at work, because we're wearing the masks constantly now, I've been making sure that I've been staying hydrated. That's been a big thing. And making sure that I'm eating nutritious foods, just bringing really good food. So when I do have time for a break, like I have time to actually take my mask off, then I can like have good fuel for my body.
Really taking things in stride. You mentioned your dogs. I'm wondering if anyone else who's tuned in tonight is an animal lover, is finding that their pets are helping them get through this time. I think our pets must be loving this. they're probably wondering why we're giving them so much attention. But yeah, no, it's really interesting to hear from all of you. And I think we've had a few comments over the last week about, looking at, well, when there's a lot of change and a lot of new things coming at us, what can we do? And if we're feeling overwhelmed with everything that's going on, what we can do. I don't know if there's any Margaret Atwood fans out there, famous Canadian author, but I was listening to her speak yesterday, and she mentioned and just kind of drove home the point that we can't do everything, and we really just need to focus on a few things that we can do, which it sounds like all of you here are trying to look for those things that you can do.
So we just had a comment come through that Kristen agrees that pets are definitely a great way to keep your mental health positive, and just it's a nice distractor. So thank you, Kristen, for your comment.
Those similarities that we have in terms of what we're going through, they're definitely there. But I want to touch on a few kind of individual questions for our mentors here based on some things that you're experiencing perhaps in a unique sort of way that others who are joining in or tuned in tonight might be also experiencing. So I think to start off, Rav, we mentioned that you're currently a student, so you're studying at Ryerson, and being in your last year of studies, you've had to transition completely online in terms of your learning. So I'm wondering how that's been for you, and if you can speak a little bit to the challenges of going completely online, being a student, and how you're working with those and how you're kind of overcoming those, the challenges of doing so, because I know they exist.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm taking 4 courses this semester. 2 of them were already online, so there wasn't too much of a disturbance there. But my other 2 courses really weren't meant to be online courses. So there was about like a week and a half where we had to give profs time to kind of reconfigure everything. So for one of my courses, I had a group presentation to do with a partner. So that was a bit of a learning curve that we just kind of full force went ahead with, and had to learn how to record ourselves audio and visual and make sure everything was timed correctly, and then post it online. And we had to evaluate a bunch of other presentations. And so again, with time and patience with one another, we were able to kind of make that work, which is great, because it was worth 60% of my final grade for that course. So thank God. And then my other course, again, it's just, having a lot of patience with, peers and our prof, because my poor prof's getting like hundreds, if not like more emails a day from all of us, like freaking out because it's a math-based course. And, trying to make everything online has been a little bit of a challenge. So our final exam for that class is not a traditional exam anymore. It's now more of an assignment. We do have more time to do it, which is nice. So that has been like a huge bonus.
Interesting. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going through this right now, some huge changes in learning, and especially for, again, elementary, high school, university students. And I know, Luke, you alluded to this, you mentioned this, that you have been studying abroad, so you've been in Grenada. I know you're completing your MD. So can you speak a little bit to what it was like for you coming back into Canada? So you had to complete that mandatory 14 days of complete self-isolation. And then again, how you're maintaining motivation by yourself and kind of with that disconnect in some sense to your peers who are all over the place as you're an international program.
Yeah, so it was a pretty rough go, I'm not gonna lie, but essentially we were in Grenada for a little while, and there was no positive cases on the island until we got one person coming in on a cruise. And then at that point, the school said, okay, well, we're gonna get like chartered flights. So the school actually organized all the flights for us. And I was on pretty much the last Air Canada flight that was available off the island. And this was like the day after a huge exam we had, which was like 30% of my term grade. So it was like I just studied, and then the last like 12 hours I was on the island, I was cramming everything I could into my luggages. But I made it here fine. Everything was good. I pretty much just went straight home. I've had my oldest sister dropping off groceries, which is awesome. And then pretty much I would just read all day. It was a little bit different, a little bit tough to keep motivated, just because you go from a schedule that's really kind of not forcing you to be there, but you move around to different rooms associated with different tasks. And I feel like that's always very a big thing for me to, get in the zone or in the mindset to be completing different tasks. So kind of being trapped away was a little bit hard to get motivated, but there are a lot of things that I did. I would literally study maybe one topic in a different room, for instance, and kind of put my life into little boxes. So I'd go exercise downstairs in the living room, kind of deal like that. So that was really good. Also having like these Zoom conversations that we're doing right now, I actually call a bunch of friends from class, and we'll just we don't even talk. We just have the Zoom on mute, and then we just study. So it's kind of like making up for the idea, we don't have the study halls or the library where you see everybody else kind of working hard. And I feel like that's a big impact as well. If you see other people working towards the goals, it also helps you as well. And we're all prepping for a big board exam. So it's crunch time, and I can't let the focus drown out. So I've been working hard on trying to keep on track.
Luke, I love that. I love the idea of just having a video call on in the background while people are while you're working or studying. I actually haven't heard that or thought about that, and I really like that. Just it makes you feel. I feel like it would make you feel a bit more connected, and like you do have some people with you there. Heather, you've been experiencing some of these similar changes with, again, transitioning fully to working from home, and that's posed kind of its own challenges in how your work day and things have changed. Can you speak a little bit to your experience with that shift to completely working from home?
Yeah, definitely. So it had always sounded like that perfect dream where like you could skip your commute, you get to work from home, kind of wake up, roll out of bed in your work pajamas, which incidentally just happened to be what you wore to bed last night. And so I was really excited at the beginning, and then I very quickly realized that without like the structure of having to get ready for work and go to work and look like a normal human being, I very quickly become a blobby. And so the first couple of weeks were a rough adjustment before I realized that I really had to like force myself to follow a schedule. So like I should probably be not sleeping at 4 a.m. and waking up at noon every day, or just trying to implement structure in the essentially like chaotic nothing environment that essentially exists, because especially like the first couple of weeks as the entire workforce was adjusting to coming in every day, like our servers and everything just crashed, and they're like, okay, if you aren't like absolutely essential, please do not crash the servers with everybody else. And so they said, just take it easy and we'll tell you more when we know more. And that seems to be a lot of like the news in general, like we'll tell you more when we know more. So just taking that day by day and then trying to implement structure for myself so that there is some normalcy in my life, I guess. But yeah, it's been an adjustment, but it's definitely getting better. I don't sleep at 4 anymore and I'm not doing like nothing with my life. So just like getting back a routine or like establishing one for yourself has definitely been an adjustment.
Yeah, that sounds like it would definitely be an adjustment, Heather. Now, we just have a question come in. Has your hourly work schedule changed? So when you were working in an office, has it changed from the amount of hours that you're putting in day-to-day working from home?
So my position is salaried, so like my hours are essentially like I'm supposed to work 8 hours a day kind of thing. But while they told us to essentially not be there or like just do productive things, just not with your computer or related to the network, a lot of that was just like self-improvement. So like force yourself to speak French and listen to French radio, which is honestly not very exciting if I'm being honest. So it's just like a lot of it was my hours are exactly the same. I still have to take my weekly conference call with my team. I still have to update my manager at the end of every day about what it is I did while I was at home by myself for so long. That doesn't include like watched 8 hours of Netflix. And so, yeah, but a lot of it was just like making sure that I like really found projects for myself to do and then established a schedule. So like from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. I would be working on this, and then I would have lunch, and then like maybe work out in the afternoon and then go back to work.
I was going to add in there, Heather, it's interesting to hear you talk about, reestablishing a routine. And I think it's coming up again and again how important that is for everybody when one day kind of blends into the next and that type of thing. And for those of us here tonight or people who are joining in who are working, it's tricky. And I know even myself, I'm working from home as well. And it's when we have such a crazy world happening outside. And I know for myself, I'm inside working at my computer. I've almost experienced some feelings of guilt even for having what I feel is a privilege to be working from home from my computer when there's so much going on. So there's a lot to kind of go through your mind and deal with, and it's just interesting to see how we all maneuver through that. And it seems like we are. So, Elena, you do work in a healthcare setting as a geriatric nurse. So you mentioned that there have been some changes in just in terms of your work life as well, as a nurse in a healthcare setting. And I think can you speak a little bit more to that and kind of what you're finding in terms of managing what's going on as a healthcare practitioner?
Yeah, for sure. So because I'm a geriatric, I work mostly with geriatrics and dementia, it's different than being say an emergency nurse, but we're still expected to wear the masks all day. And I was finding at the beginning I was becoming really dehydrated. So like I said earlier, I've just been making sure that I've been, taking good care of my body. And even though I'm not really working with patients with COVID, I change my whole outfit. Like before I go to work, I have a work outfit I wear to work. I put on my scrubs when I get to the break room. I leave work in my work clothes. Then I come home and I change at the door. So my whole routine that I had going for work has changed. I have to shower so much more. I just feel the need to clean everything and shower. But anyways, that's fine. But even at work, because I work with mostly patients with dementia, their schedules have changed, which is so hard for them too. So we've been trying to do things like Skyping with their families, and it's so sweet to see them interact with their families on a phone where they've never done that before. So even while I'm at work, everything has changed. But I don't know, I think it's really sweet that they can still interact with their family members because they're not allowed to come in. So I've been trying to make a difference for them too. So it's been good change, but it's been good.
You're right there. It's again, you have a very important role. We all do, but for sure what you're doing. Yeah, which this actually kind of leads into the next question. Speaking of, Elena, your patients and interacting with family members on the phone and that type of thing. And I'm wondering what each of you, again, our mentors here, are doing in terms of setting boundaries with your family, your friends, and kind of, if you can speak to a little bit your living situations. I mean, it's tricky. I know some of us are living on our own or with partners, or, we have parents that we're thinking about, and there's all this talk of, important talk of essential things like grocery shopping and who do we interact with and who do we not. So can you speak a little bit to your experience with on that side of things? Rab, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so right now I live with my parents and my siblings, and March especially was really tricky because all of our schedules were all over the place. I was adjusting to everything being online. My sisters both of them had to stop working. My parents were still working. So when I do need that quiet time to work or whatever else that I'm working on, family group chat. My mom loves a good Bitmoji, so send her a bunch of those, and she'll respect the time frame that I give her. And my sisters are obviously very understanding of what time I need to kind of just focus on myself, and it's my last semester and getting stuff done. Because I'll be honest, I get super bummed out thinking that my grad photos up in the air convocation has been pushed to the fall. So if anyone's like proms or grads have been canceled, like, or postponed, I really feel for you, because we do want to, you know, have those milestones like celebrated with like friends and family. So, you know, whenever I have like weekly or daily check-ins with like certain groups of friends or cousins, you know, we all kind of joke and share a laugh, which is like so incredibly powerful in moments like this, just to, you know, take a step away from the chaos and just, you know, joke around. So we now have this reoccurring joke that we'll do my individual graduation ceremony on Zoom with my family and friends. We will Photoshop my grad photo. So it feels like, you know, I can still end the semester somewhat traditionally. But again, we'll see what happens in the fall with that.
So, Rav, you actually just answered a question that came in from one of our audience members. Like, what are you going to be doing to do your graduation or do your prom? So you kind of answered the graduation part, but if you were in someone's shoes who couldn't go to prom this year, what would you recommend them doing? Because there's probably a few people out there who are wondering the same thing.
Yeah, because like I even remember like being in grade 12 and it would just, I know prom wasn't something that like I really wanted to do, but like because all my friends were into it, I was like, yeah, like why not? This is something we've talked about for like 4+ years. So I don't know, man, that's like a really tricky question. Like I would honestly expect like some type of like student group or group of friends. Obviously once social distancing can kind of, you know, ease off a little bit, just kind of getting together and finding some way to celebrate that. If possible, even doing something on like House Party or Zoom and doing, you know, just dress up, get glam. I mean, getting glam every day has been something that I have enjoyed doing so much because there's only so much reading and calculating I can handle right now. So, you know, doing something like that with friends can be like really fun in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's a really good idea too. And I know quite a few people kind of along the same lines as prom, but people are having to reschedule their weddings. Actually, I'm in that boat where I had to push back my wedding until next year. It was supposed to be this July. It's now next June, but things change and things happen. So you're right, getting dressed up and on the day that you were going to have prom or on the day that you were going to have graduation is a really good idea to kind of help make the day a little bit more positive, and even though you've been looking forward to it for so long.
Yeah, like class of 2020, we're all in a very unique boat, but it will make for a great story one day, hopefully.
Totally. I think it forces you to get creative too with, you know, with how to deal with this. This hasn't happened before, at least not in exactly the way we're experiencing it. So yeah. I like that. A great story. A story for your grandkids or whenever it comes up again.
For sure.
Heather, what about you in terms of, again, just your how you're maneuvering with people and your living situation and anything that you're missing out on? Sad to be changing type thing.
I guess I miss just going out and doing things, anything really, like even grocery shopping and general errands. Because like I do live in a condo, there are at least 200 other people living in this building, if not more. And so we really try to limit exposure to like touching all the door handles and the elevator buttons and just like every barrier that you would need to get through to get outside. And so we're definitely like pulling back on going outside if we don't need to like even further, like I don't know if everybody saw them, but the grocery stores in Toronto, people got extra crazy and the shelves were bare for like 2 weeks. Even like a week ago, we tried to go out, there were no eggs, there was like one thing of milk left. Like I don't know what people are doing with all this food because it's definitely perishable, but it's all gone. And so just my parents have a car and they also live in the city, and so they've been doing grocery runs to Costco to help myself and my partner who I live with get groceries. And so like that's really the only time I want to say we go down is to get provisions, let's call them. And yeah, I guess the boundaries aren't really boundaries because they're literally physical boundaries that have been enforced not only by like Toronto itself, but like all of the doors that exist between me and the outside. And so it's just been about keeping connected with my family. Like I have a family chat where we post like the smallest things that are happening in our lives. Like my mom today updated me about the fact that she needs a bigger phone because she has to keep increasing the text size so that she can read it, and it's filling her entire screen. So that was like a little nugget that came out today. And then just like trying to keep in touch with my grandparents and making sure that like they're getting too lonely and stuff because they're completely self-isolating just to keep safe. And yeah, so like checking in on friends. I saw a really cute post today. It said like, It was a little cartoon character asking a cactus if it needed water, and someone said, why are you asking your cactus if it needs water? And someone said, even the most low maintenance of plants need to be checked on too. And so just like, it really made me think about like all of those friends who aren't as maybe dramatic or aren't suffering as much, like just really checking up on everybody to make sure that it is a difficult time and that they are like doing well still.
It seems, at least from what I've experienced, a really nice time to notice the good in people too. There's some amazing things happening even with neighbors and family, and not on the news, but just those little things.
For me, I think mostly just kind of keeping things very like steady day to day, kind of helping me kind of throw it all together. I eat the exact same thing every single morning. It might sound boring, but it gets me through it. Keeping everything kind of like very similar together throughout the day, very on like some sort of routine on a regular basis. It also helps with my blood sugars a lot. So.
Yeah, and you, Luke, you mentioned so you're living with your parents right now. Is that right?
For many of you might not know, I spent all last year living in England, doing my first year for school, and that was amazing. I was all the way out there, living pretty far, and I came back here for 3 weeks, and then I went to Grenada. And so I haven't really been at home for a good amount of time in a while. It's a little bit tough being back home. Even for undergrad, I was quite far away from home. But even in the midst of, not being used to everything, I think it's very nice for me to be able to spend time with the family. So I think that's nice.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have had to make that adjustment from kind of living on their own. And Rav, I don't know if you were away at school, but then moving back in with your parents is probably an adjustment. So for those of you who are watching and for our attendees, have you guys had to make that transition from living on your own, whether at school or just in an apartment, and had to move back in either with other family or friends, just because of everything that's going on? So again, we want to hear from you guys and what you are experiencing.
Just to kind of jump over to Elena for that question, or again, just kind of how you're maneuvering your day-to-day in terms of if you're living with anyone or that type of thing.
Yeah, so I bought my house in August. So my boyfriend and I live together, but we're both essential workers. So we're both still working. But I feel like I'm a bit more high risk of contracting than he is. So I'm currently sleeping in the spare room. So we've been distancing from each other like as much as we can in our house. I mean, you can only do so much when you live together. But he's also been doing most of the grocery shopping for us. So I don't have to go out because I don't want to expose my patients either. Even though we're wearing a mask and doing everything we can, I still, I don't want to get it. I want to be well to go and care for them. But my mom has been a huge support too. She drops off groceries to us, but she's also an essential worker. So it's, it's been tricky. I depend on my mom a lot, so it's been really hard not seeing her. But having the dogs, honestly, has been so great because it's my motivation for like, okay, I have to walk them. They're from a rescue, so they really have a lot of energy and they need to be walked. So that's helped me quite a bit. And my boyfriend and I walk them together. It's like our nightly thing. So, and Easter weekend, we kind of made the decision together. We were like, oh, okay, we'll go do some yard work, like just something like fun, different, get us out of the house, but not like near other people. So yeah.
It's tricky. I think it's a really, really tough. I know Elena reminded me when you were speaking there, my sister actually just came down with pneumonia. They thought she was in for all sorts of testing, and what it really highlights, when with people that you're close to and you want to, if you're not living with them, you want to be there for them, to support them and to care for them. And I found it really challenging to make that responsible decision to say, no, you know what, it's actually, I can't go to my sister's house and care for her while she's quite ill with pneumonia. She's okay. She'll be fine. And I know my mom's been struggling with that too. So I think, I think a lot of people are going through this and making these tough decisions about how we interact with each other during this time and what's going to actually be best in the long term or in the outcomes. Everything that's going on right now has kind of forced us to be a little bit more I don't say lonely, isolated, perhaps lonely, more lonely than we normally are. And I wonder if you guys have found anything in particular. I know we've got animals and, developing a routine, but anything you found really helpful in helping to combat the loneliness of not having those physical connections with people. So in terms of music, hobbies, books, that type of thing. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I know we're all doing different things to kind of help ourselves feel fulfilled and also connected as well. And Luke, do you want to start off with that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for the first one, I got a few things kind of do a little bit about this, but the first one, I'm speaking to a bunch of people over the phone. Not excessively. I mean, I still got to manage my time well, but I noticed that I am speaking to, and like it's the FaceTime calls. So on WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or whatnot, which is nice. So you can connect with groups of people similar to this kind of format here. But for spending the time, I mean, like I think I mentioned a little bit earlier before, but I actually am trying to make a guitar. My dad has a wood shop up in the garage, so spending some time doing that, like trying something new. You know what I mean? Also, like spending time watching Grey's Anatomy. I started that. A bad time to start, but stuff like that. Just keeping yourself a little bit. You need something to take away the stress or anxiety a lot of the time. And if you're focused on a task or learning something, I feel like that is also something that helps it very much.
Making a guitar. Wow, that's makes me think that I need to kind of get going on something a little bit more creative.
I'll try and send like a final product picture, or I'll take some progress photos and send it to DHF. You guys can show it or something.
Yeah, we would definitely love to share those, and people can see what you're doing, and maybe some other people can share with us what they're doing. I know that I've been doing a lot of sign making for outdoors of my house, so I'm busy with crafts as well.
Amazing. Rav, what about you?
So I've been doing a lot of calls on Zoom, FaceTime, WhatsApp with like family and friends, which has been so nice. Because it's really easy to beat yourself up during this time. So having that reminder to, be compassionate to yourself and sharing a laugh with a loved one is so powerful. In terms of anything that's more fun, I'm trying to challenge myself to read a bit more because I have a lot of books in my bookcase that are untouched, but they are still untouched. But I'm trying to learn calligraphy. So far, I've only watched a how-to video, but I think that's an admirable step in the right direction to learn a new skill.
We can't be hard on ourselves too. I think I've talked to some friends who have a list a mile long of things they want to accomplish, and they're starting to feel bad that they're not actually getting through that list. That's another thing. You know what? We're just doing the best we can here, and we'll do what we can do, right? So
it's a pandemic. Just try your best. That's it.
Yeah. Elena, what about you?
Same thing. I've been doing a lot of like FaceTime, Zoom, like that kind of stuff with my family. My best friends are both RNs as well. So we've been doing a lot of Snapchatting and like, oh, how are you? That kind of thing. Also, I've been trying to keep in touch with my grandpa too. He's really cute. He loves to email. So he emails me little pictures of cute animals he finds. So I send them back to him. So it's cute, and I show him the grand puppies, we call them. I don't know, I repotted some plants and stuff. I'm trying to keep them alive. I'm not very good at keeping plants alive, but I've had one since I got the house, so since August, so that's pretty good. And I've been doing lots of baking. I love baking. And it's kind of nice to have time to actually do that, so.
I think it's funny, baking came up last week as well when we were chatting. I think baking is really taking off around, at least around here. I've been doing more baking than I have my entire life too. So. Yeah. Heather, what about you?
I've been connecting the same way everyone else has, like with family and friends, just through like the magic of technology. Essentially, I can't even imagine if this had happened like 10 or 15 years ago, like what everyone would be doing. But yeah, just like keeping connected with people to, I guess, like just make sure that check in, but also just like share small inane things with everybody, like my mom and her discovery about phones. I've been doing a lot of my like wish I had time lists, which I quickly realized was like, oh, I'm just very lazy. But just like make your own cards or like learn how to make bread from scratch and just like all those things where I'm like, if I had time, I would do this. And I've been trying to do a lot of those, like reading books for pleasure and not for like personal growth or development has been like a big one. And so, yeah, and like, it's going to sound cheesy, but like having fun isn't hard when you have a library card, because like the library has an infinite number of like ebooks that I've just been able to borrow and be like, oh, this is so cool. And it's a great kind of escape from everything. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really funny. That first of all, I love the Arthur reference. It was one of my favorite TV shows when I was growing up. And the fact that you talk about making crafts, for anybody out there who is really into crafting, I highly recommend getting one of those Cricut crafting machines. You can do anything with it. I have used it so much, it's probably going to die by the end of it. But I just wanted to jump in, and as we're kind of wrapping up here, because we do only have about 10 minutes left, I put a link in the group chat for anyone who's interested in the T1D Buddy program. So to continue talking with all of our wonderful mentors here, follow that link and it'll take you to the page for you to learn a little bit more and to submit an application to be matched with one of our lovely mentors. They're all here to chat with you. I think we've all got a little bit of extra time now these days to do some chatting, and hey, message Luke about learning how to make a guitar, or Rav, I don't know if you're some kind of makeup artist now that you're delving into
very amateur.
Hey, I think some people would still learn a lot. I probably definitely could too. And Heather, all your books and your library cards, I'm sure you have some great book recommendations to share with a mentor. And Elena, you've got so many animals. I know you've got, 2 cats and 2 dogs. Yeah. So you guys can probably chat about animals. And I know you're also one of our mentors too. And you've got so much to share as well. It's just an all-around great program. So for those of you who do want to join, we do match you as soon as possible. So take a look at the link and fill it out.
Just to kind of fly away or leave on a fun note, have you guys noticed anything, again, just in your day-to-day life or online or in what you're doing, kind of silver linings, I want to call them? So something positive that you think is really cool that's happening right now. I know there's things floating around all the time online, and I know, again, some people's neighbors are doing cool things, but is there anything that stands out to you guys in terms of things that are really nice that are happening during this insane time? Elena, have you noticed anything?
I don't know. I guess maybe this is like a frontline worker perspective, but like people are so nice and so supportive. Like all of the like cars line up outside the hospital and like honk at shift change just to be like, thank you for doing your job. And like there are risks and that kind of thing, but I just think it's really nice that we're receiving community support, and like people have been sending us food, and they've been making the cute little headbands with the buttons, which are lovely. So yeah, the community support, that how everyone's come together has been so nice to see.
That's amazing. I know it's been happening all over the place, but also the people going outside so I think it's 8:30 p.m. and blowing horns and banging pots and pans. Yeah. That's amazing too. I know a friend in Mississauga who sent a video of all the apartment buildings close to Square One. It was, I think, a few weeks ago that we're doing that, and it almost made me cry. It's just very, very epic, I'd say. Yeah. Luke, what about you?
I think I have a little bit, I wouldn't say much more downtime, but I mean, I take all the time out of commuting all day. So I feel like I do have some extra time during the day to be a little bit productive. So things like, I mean, when I was in Grenada or in UK, I wouldn't have as much time for myself to even just play music. I'll play a song, play guitar or something like that. And now I actually do, which is really nice. And then at night, I'll go out really late, maybe like 10:30, just to avoid like seeing too many people. But I stopped running a long time ago, and I feel like it's really nice, kind of good time for meditation, running around, come back, nice and quiet too. Like there's no cars really on the road, and it's a lot nicer for me to run on the side of the road than running on like a sidewalk or something, a lot less like little divots or whatnot. So I think that's my silver lining, I think.
Heather, what about you?
I think what's been really nice to see is just like the random acts of kindness that social media propagates, and I love, but like people really stepping up to be there for like our older demographic who still have to be out there, or people just stepping up for their neighbors. Like it's one of those like feel good things where you're like, that's amazing. I can't believe people still do things like that, like offering to buy your older neighbor groceries, or like if someone makes a cake, giving your neighbor half so you don't sit at home and eat an entire cake by yourself. Just like all of those really nice things have been a really nice silver lining from all of this, just like highlighting, I guess, like the kindness and the humanity that everyone still has in such a difficult situation. So yeah, like that's been really my silver lining.
I couldn't agree more. And Rav?
On a personal level, it was my birthday 2 weeks ago, and I was kind of bummed out about my plans being canceled, but you know what? It was necessary. But my friends really kind of went above and beyond to still make me feel kind of special on the day. Like I had a Zoom birthday party, a friend dropped off a cake, there were a lot of driveway gift drop-offs, and even during all this craziness, we're still finding a way to kind of celebrate each other's achievements, finishing, undergrad or your master's, and like sending gifts to each other, and like just still finding a way to uplift one another during all of this has been really nice.
That's really funny that you mention your birthday party on Zoom. I actually am joining one tonight. It was my friend's birthday yesterday, so we're doing one tonight for her, which is really cool. And something that I've noticed, which is really cool, is that, again, I'm from such a small town that a lot of these kids around here, the younger kids, can't celebrate their birthdays. So very similar to you, Rav, these little kids sit outside for about 2 hours with their families, and there's a huge parade of cars that drive by. They decorate their cars with balloons. They have streamers. They bring out birthday presents. They throw candy at the kids, which is kind of funny. So it's just, the first time I saw it back home, I was in tears. It was so nice to see. It's just that little bit of positivity. And a lot of these people didn't know the kids whose birthday it was. They just decided it was going to be a nice thing for them to do. So you're right. The small acts of kindness are just incredible now.
Yeah, in your Zoom parties too reminded me there. I had a friend 2 weeks ago who, I don't know if anyone joining us has been watching Tiger King, or a crazy show that everyone seems to be watching, but they had a Tiger King themed Zoom party. It was so bizarre. It was just crazy, but it was it was fun. So hey, you know what? Fun things can still happen when we are in isolation and going through a crazy time, for sure.
Yeah, so we do have someone say happy belated birthday to you, Rav. So we've got a few people saying that. So it's really nice that everyone can come together and celebrate. And in a crazy time right now where everyone feels so far apart, I think we're very blessed to have access to the internet where we don't seem so far apart, and we seem very close to everybody. But yeah, as we wrap up, we just want to thank everyone, and for everyone from the Diabetes Hope Foundation team, our T1D mentors and buddies, Anna and I, Barbara, our founder and chair. We just want to say thank you to everybody for joining us on these webinars. It's just a great time to connect, to chat, to share our concerns or feelings, and you're right, that silver lining, and just give everybody a little bit of hope that we're all going to be okay. We're all in this together, and if you need somebody to talk to, we're here for you, and our mentors are here for you. So again, we just want to thank everybody so much for joining us and for supporting, again, these webinars, and just staying in this together and just providing some positivity in a crazy, crazy time.
Personally, I'm so grateful for Diabetes Hope Foundation and for, a platform like this being provided, and for everything else that's going on through Diabetes Hope. And to our mentors, I mean, it's so enjoyable and so much fun to get to chat to you, and to everyone who's joined us here tonight and for the last few weeks. This has really been a highlight, I think, for me, and I hope for a lot of people. Another point of connection, another really, really cool thing happening. So again, thank you all. Be kind to yourself, stay healthy, stay safe, and we do hope to connect with you in the future via our peer mentor program, or again, any way virtually. We'd really love to connect with you. So thank you.
Yeah, and you'll see us continue to do our webinars. It's just a great value added, I think, to the virtual community. But I'll leave you off with a little bit of a sentence, but from the words of Ellen DeGeneres, be kind to one another. All right, bye guys. Thank you all so much.